أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. طاسين. تلك آيات الكتاب المبين. نتلو عليك من نبأ موسى وفرعون بالحق لقوم يؤمنون. إن فرعون علا في الأرض وجعل أهلها شيعا يستضعف طائفة منهم يذبح أبناءهم ويستحيي نساءهم إنه كان من المفسدين. ونريد أن نمن على الذين استضعفوا في الأرض ونجعلهم أئمة ونجعلهم الوارثين ونمكن لهم في الأرض ونري فرعون وهامان وجنودهما منهم ما كانوا يحذرون. وأوحينا إلى أم موسى أن أرضعه فإذا خفت عليه فألقيه في اليم ولا تخافي ولا تحزني إنا رادوه إليك وجاعلوه من المرسلين. فالتقطه آل فرعون ليكون لهم عدوا وحزنا إن فرعون وهامان وجنودهما كانوا خاطئين. وقالت امرأة فرعون قرة عين لي ولك لا تقتلوه عسى أن ينفعنا أو نتخذه ولدا وهم لا يشعرون. وأصبح فؤاد أم موسى فارغا إن كادت لتبدي به لولا أن ربطنا على قلبها لتكون من المؤمنين. وقالت لأخته قصيه فبصرت به عن جنوب وهم لا يشعرون. وحرمنا عليه المراضع من قبل فقالت هل أدلكم على أهل بيتي يكفلونه لكم وهم له ناصحون. فرددناه إلى أمه كي تقر عينها ولا تحزن ولتعلم أن وعد الله حق ولكن أكثرهم لا يعلمون. صدق الله العلي العظيم.
MashaAllah, Ahsan. Thank you so much.
Brother Mateen.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you everyone for joining us today. We will inshallah start the session now. This is the topic today is fiqh of family, and I've also shared some questions with the Sheikh, and we are thankful to Sheikh Tabarsi for joining us tonight. And also like to welcome our local Sheikh, Sheikh Jafar Muhibbullah. He's also present here, so thank you for joining us. So inshallah we'll start, and one thing which Brother Sajjad is going to share is we will have a Mentimeter link for you to put any questions there. So if you have any questions, you can go ahead and log on to menti.com, I think, and submit your questions. But first we will have Sheikh give some points, inshallah, from his own side, and then we will go into the question and answers. So with that, inshallah, I'd like to invite Sheikh Tabarsi to start his discourse. Thank you.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا العبد المؤيد والرسول المسدد المصطفى الأمجد المحمود الأحمد أبي القاسم محمد
اللهم صل
على محمد وعلى أهل الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المكرمين. As you may know that fiqh according to Quran, is different from what we have in terminology. In terminology, fiqh means to know what is wajib and what is haram, what is mustahab, what is makruh, what is mubah. But the fiqh itself means, in general, the actually comprehensive understanding about any subject. But here we have a verse in Quran which talks about the concept of fiqh in actually the chapter 9, Surah Tawbah, and the verse 122, that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks the companions of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam that a certain people of the companion should dedicate themselves to go and study fiqh of religion in order to warn the other people. So it means that certain people should actually dedicate themselves to study religion in order to warn the rest of the community. And this is the verse of Quran which says, وَمَا كَانَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ لِيَنْفِرُوا كَافَّةً فَلَوْلَا نَفَرَ مِنْ كُلِّ فِرْقَةٍ مِّنْهُمْ طَائِفَةٌ ليتفقهوا في الدين ولينذروا قومهم إذا رجعوا إليهم لعلهم يحذرون. As you know, the teachings of Islam actually categorized in three actually divisions. The first is actually the theology or aqidah, or belief, as we say, and the second one is the ethics or morality. And the third is jurisprudence, which would be here equivalent to fiqh. And if we go through the jurisprudence, we see that we have many chapters, and it would be about maybe 48 chapters. And one of the chapters is about the family. And when we talk about the fiqh, it also could be applied in general to the belief and faith and morality, and also the jurisprudence. But inshallah Rahman, when we are going to talk about the fiqh of family, we have also to enlist the akhlaq or morality, because it is not only that jurisprudence, also it is the morality which we have to have kind of, understanding, and how we have to incorporate the akhlaq in the fiqh too. This is very important thing. But in general, the fiqh of al-usra, or the fiqh of family, is very important. Because as you know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Quran says that we have to protect not only ourselves, and also we have to protect our actually family. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu qu anfusakum wa ahlikum naran waquduha an-nas wal hijara. That who you who believe, protect yourselves and your families from the fire, whose fuel is people and stones. So this is our responsibility, that we have to not protect ourselves, also we have a duty to protect our family. And also at the same time, Quran talks about the notion of family when it talks about the institution of marriage. This verse of Quran we used to recite when we have the marriage ceremony, but it is very important to contemplate with when Quran says, وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ أَنْ خَلَقَ لَكُمْ مِنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ أَزْوَاجًا لِتَسْكُنُوا إِلَيْهَا وَجَعَلَ بَيْنَكُمْ مَوَدَّةً وَرَحْمَةً إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَاتٍ لِقَوْمٍ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ. Among his signs is that he created for you mates from among yourselves, that you will find serenity or tranquility with them. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala placed love and mercy between your hearts. You see that according to Quran, the main purpose of marriage is to reach the state of sakina or serenity. And it is very important to maintain this serenity in the family. And according to Quran, this serenity could be actually maintained through two qualities. One, or the good moralities, which we say here. One is as Quran says, mawaddah, which is love, and the second one is rahmah, which is mercy. So by marriage, the couple should be able to nourish these two moral qualities, and in order to maintain the serenity and sakina in marriage. And so this is very important, these two things, the mawaddat and rahman. You know that in Arabic, the love is translated to another word, which is hub or muhabbat. But there is difference in Arabic between hub or muhabbat and mawaddat. Hub is that, the inclination in the heart towards someone or something. But mawaddat means to actually show this love. It is not only the love, it is manifestation of love. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this verse asks the mu'mineen or people that they have to show their loves. It means that it's not only by word, it should be by action. And so this is the word of mawaddah, and as you see, it is coming from the word of wood. And also, you know that this is one of the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is al-wadud, the one who is constantly and frequently actually offers his love in action. And also we have another moral quality, which is rahmah, which is mercy. Also, it is coming from the word of rahmah. And you see one of the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Rahim. And also there is another name, which is Rahman. And in every marriage, in order to keep its success and its serenity, we need to nourish these two qualities, the quality of actually mawaddat and rahmah. And by having children, these two moral qualities should be applied constantly in order to, inshallah rahman, stay on the path of serenity, which is the ultimate goal of the marriage. As you see in Islam, making the family, creating family is recommended, and creating family would be only through the marriage and the institution of marriage. That's why it's so important in Islam. And the reason that it is only way to create the family, because according to Islam, extramarital relationship is prohibited. And the reason that extramarital relationship is prohibited because, as we know, in order to create family, and we have to produce commitment to maintain the family. And without marriage, producing commitment would not be secured. So the only way to secure the commitment for the continuation of the family is to actually do this through the institution of marriage. Without marriage, we are not going to have essential commitment which is needed for creation of family. That's why the studies shows that people who are having extramarital relationship, when they enter into the actually marriage, they are more susceptible to divorce in compared to people who actually get married, but they don't have extramarital relationship before their marriage. So that's why the institution of marriage is so important in Islam in order to maintain the commitment, inshallah rahman, for the continuation of family. And inshallah rahman, I would like to to inshallah be more interactive with the brothers in this issue. If you inshallah want to ask any questions, I'm inshallah rahman open to any questions, and inshallah rahman, if I would be able to answer, I would be inshallah at your disposal, inshallah rahman.
Thank you. Can we start with the questions which I shared with you earlier, which is the Islamic the rules that deal with how to deal with family members or children who have left the deen or who are not practicing like they should. Should we stop associating with them, or if they want to choose the wrong path forward, how do we deal with such situation? And then for the audience and for everyone of us, there is a link, menti.com, and this is the code 7263774. If you can log in and put your questions in there, and so we will read them out and in order, and then we will have Sheikh answer those. So while people are logging in and asking questions, Sheikh, if you could please address this particular question.
Yeah, this is very important question that we are between two things here. One is to maintain the bond of kinship, or what we call it in our language, Salatul Rahim, that we know that, for example, Salatul Rahim is very important in Islam, and we are actually commanded to maintain the tie of relationship between the relatives. And at the same time, it is very important that we have to convey the message of Islam to actually our children. We have to protect them, as I recited from a verse from Quran, that we have to protect them, not only actually protect their bodies, but also actually to protect their faith, to protect their beliefs. And this is what Quran says, "Qu anfusakum wa ahlikum," that we have to protect, the religion of our children and our relatives. So the question is that what we should do if there is kind of contradiction between these two things, Salatul Rahim, to keep the bond of relationship, and also the issue of protection. You know that we have a verse in Quran which says that La ikraha fid din. There is no compulsion in religion. And it was said that the reason for actually this verse, actually when this verse was revealed to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it was actually the reason for that. Some of the Muslims or new Muslims in Medina, they had actually children when they were actually adult. They didn't accept to follow the religion of their parents. I mean, they didn't want to accept Islam. They wanted to be either Jewish or Christians, because, as you know, in Medina, there was kind of interaction between Jewish people and Muslims. And then these people had, I mean, these children had kind of connection with the Jewish community. So they didn't want to be Muslims. So their parents were trying to force them to accept Islam. And that's why this, verse was revealed, that La ikraha fid din, that there should be no compulsion in religion. So then the question is that what is our duty here? And as you see that this is actually the vocation of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam when he was conveying the message to people. And Quran says, "Wama ala Rasul illa al-balagh." The vocation or the duty of Prophet is to convey the message to people. And Prophet was only the mudhakkir. He was reminding people to the message, but he was not forcing them to accept the message. So this is the actually, if we we stand to do our duty to convey the message. If they didn't accept the truth, then this is not our responsibility anymore. But as the Quran says that we have to do our job. For example, Quran says, وَأْمُرْ أَهْلَكَ بِالصَّلَاةِ, that you have to command your family to offer salat. وَاسْتَبِرْ عَلَيْهَا, and be patient. Sometimes, when we ask our children to do salat one time, two times, then we get frustrated and actually we abandon to actually ask them to do the salat. But Quran says, no, you have to be patient. You have to do this frequently. This should not be done only one times, two times, three times and leave. No, we have to continue to do this and to be in a state of istibar, which actually we can, infer that the frequency of the, preaching is required here. But at the same time, if we don't get the result, then the question is that what we should do. Should we actually cut the relationship with them? I usually try to understand this from Quran, that what Quran is saying to us to do, how we can manage between these two principles. The principle of, keeping the bond of relationship with our actually family, and actually the notion of Islam itself, that we have to know that maintaining the belief is so important. What we have to do here, you see that when we see that sometimes the people, they are becoming the enemy of religion, then maybe in this situation, this connection between the the tie, disconnecting the ties between the families would be justified. You see that this verse of Quran is saying that it is in Surah of actually Tawbah also, and the verse is 114. Quran says, "Ma kana lin-nabi والذين آمنوا أن يستغفروا للمشركين ولو كانوا أولي قربى من بعد ما تبين لهم أنهم أصحاب الجحيم." It is not for the Prophet and those who have believed to ask forgiveness for the polytheists, even if they were relatives, after it has become clear to them that they are companions of hellfire. So this verse of Quran, in fact, talks about people who are fighting the religion of Islam. But if we cannot say this verse is applicable on people who are not observing the religion, not practicing the religion, or even if they converted from Islam, because they believe that according to their understanding, maybe there is other religion should be followed, but there is actually no hostility towards the Islamic religion. It seems to me that this verse of Quran, it talks about when the person become hostile to the religion. You see that even the relationship, according to actually some reports, the relationship between Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Abu Lahab before the chapter of is talking. The chapter is talking about the Abu Lahab was revealed. Prophet maintained the relationship with his uncle Abu Lahab, even though he was against Islam. He was maintaining the relationship till this the chapter which talks about Abu Lahab and his wife was revealed. And also you see that Quran talks about Ibrahim alayhi salam, that Quran says, وَمَا كَانَ اسْتِغْفَارُ إِبْرَاهِيمَ لِأَبِيهِ إِلَّا عَنْ مَوْعِدَةٍ وَعَدَهَا إِيَّاهُ فَلَمَّا تَبَيَّنَ لَهُ أَنَّهُ عَدُوٌّ لِلَّهِ تَبَرَّأَ مِنْهُ إِنَّ إِبْرَاهِيمَ لَأَوَّاهٌ حَلِيمٌ. That and the request of forgiveness of Abraham for his father was only because of a promise he had made to him. But when it became apparent to Ibrahim alayhi salam that his father was an enemy to Allah, he disassociated himself from him. Indeed, was Ibrahim alayhi salam compassionate and patient. And you see that here, even Ibrahim, his father was disbeliever, but he maintained the relationship with, his father or uncle. And but when it was apparent that he was enemy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then he actually cut the relationship. Also, you see that about Prophet Nuh alayhi salam. This is another example that when there would be the justification to cut the relationship, even his son Nuh alayhi salam, his son was not with him. He didn't follow Nuh alayhi salam, but he maintained the relationship with his son. And when actually the flood made actually distance between Nuh and his son, and Nuh found out that his son is going to be drowned, he still asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the saving of his son. This is what Quran says, وَنَادَى نُوحٌ رَبَّهُ فَقَالَ رَبِّ إِنِّي رب إن ابني من أهلي وإن وعدك الحق وأنت أحكم الحاكمين. That he said that, my son is of my family and your promise is true, and this is what he asked from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you see that here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells Nuh that this is time to disconnect yourself from your son, because he said, Ya Nuh, innahu laysa min ahlak, he is not from your family anymore, and innahu amalun ghayr salih. So this is actually I don't know, I would try to just give you some understanding from Quran that how we have to actually treat the situation which you actually talked about. And my understanding is that usually it is very difficult to say that if our children, they are kind of against our religion, they are equivalent, for example, to the son of Nuh or to Abu Lahab, or actually the people at the time of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when they actually fought Prophet. And this is actually some kind of understanding which I have from Quran. I don't know if I can.
Okay.
Have
I think the message I got from you was the earlier verse you said was to wa'mur ahlaka bis-salat wastabir alayha. So I think that is probably the answer to this question, that just keep trying and not disconnect. So okay, thank you for that. So the other question we have on the chat is, what is qawlan sadida?
Qawlan Sadida, it should be actually have different actually meaning could have for the Qawlan Sadida, but maybe one of the meaning for the Qawlan Sadida means that to be robust. I mean, the word which we are, conveying would be, strong in terms of effectiveness, and it should be consistent with the truth. So this is one meaning of qawlan sadida would be.
Okay, thank you. So there's a hand raised. I think this was your question, right? I just wanted to make sure. It's Pixel 3 Jabra Talk.
Assalamualaikum. मेरा ये क्वेश्चन नहीं, दूसरा क्वेश्चन है मेरा. Should I have to ask in English or Urdu?
No, English, man.
Okay, yeah, just I mean, Mawlana Sahib, you said that this marriage, one of the purpose of marriage, to continue with the family, kids, the children, but and then both the parents take care. But there's also mutar too, in which I mean, you married, then and then the both are separated, maybe after 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, maybe like 1 week, and suppose during that period, the hamal happens, and the kids, I mean, the father will be responsible for that, but this is not the family what we discussed, So how would you explain this in terms of Islam? You mentioned that it is purpose is to maintain a family, to increase the love and mawadda, So could you elaborate on that, please?
Sorry, actually, can you rephrase your question?
I think I can probably interpret that, and please correct me if I didn't understand that.
Sure.
But you're saying that contractual marriage, how does that fit in the overall value system of Islamic family, right?
That's right. So because it could be for they are separated after 1 week, 2 week, 1 month, 2 months, maybe a year.
1 month, actually.
So muta could be for 1 month, for 1 year, or like different periods, but after that they'll be separated,
So he's talking about the contractual marriage, which can be for a very short term, like few months or a year, maybe. So would that,
You
how
mean
does that fit
you are
into?
talking about permanent marriage or about
No, contractual marriage,
temporary?
temporary
Okay.
marriage.
So actually the uh, temporary marriage is something that we need more to contemplate with. You know, what is the purpose of marriage? As we see that Quran says the ultimate purpose of marriage is to reach the state of sakina. So the question is that this could not be applied on temporary marriage.
Mhm.
And that's the question could be. But then the question is that what is the purpose of temporary marriage? If it is that right that the temporary marriage is meant only for pleasure, or it is actually a way that may be transformed to the permanent marriage? I think that the understanding is that the good understanding of the temporary marriage is that it should be a prelude for the permanent marriage. It is not only just for pleasure. You know, some of the scholars, they are talking that temporary marriage for the sake of only pleasure would not be actually right unless it would be actually lead to the permanent marriage. So this would be the situation that by temporary marriage the parties would figure out if they can transform this type of relationship to the permanent one. And so if this is the issue, then this temporary marriage would be the extension of the it would be attached to the permanent marriage, and would be for the purpose of the permanent marriage, which is also, as we said, is the state of serenity or tranquility or sakina, as the Quran says. So this is the issue that the issue of the temporary marriage is something that we have to discuss more. I think this is even very important that for the young generation, sometimes when it is very difficult to go through the permanent marriage, the temporary marriage would be actually the justification for the good relationship in order to reach the permanent one. So this would be together, the temporary marriage should lead to the permanent one. And because temporary marriage has less responsibilities in compared to to the permanent one. So this will fit with the situation of a young generation who are not able to go through the permanent one, but at the same time this would be kind of promise to reach the permanent one through the temporary marriage.
Okay, thank you. So if there's anyone who has any other questions, please make sure either put them on Menti or raise your hand here or put them in the chat while we wait for that. But Sajjad, do we have anything, or I'll proceed with some other questions?
No, you can proceed. We haven't got any question yet on menti.com.
Okay. All right.
So I have a question. Maulana Sahab, I have a question, like to maintain serenity, sometimes, the marriage, like it becomes so difficult for both of the partners, So in that case, how can you maintain the serenity and get separated, what is we too much talk about the nikah and then, go together. But this is the talaq is also the issue in the Quran, but and also in Islam. But nobody has tell how to what factor you have to look before you go to talaq. What are the things which can lead to talaq, and how to avoid it, and how, if we have to proceed, how to proceed.
Yeah, definitely. This is the issue that talaq or divorce is also the path sometimes should be taken when the marriage is virtually dead. So this is the issue that when there is no serenity in the marriage, when there is no love and there is no mercy, then this marriage has no value, and this marriage should be pronounced dead by issuing divorce. But the issue is that this is what Quran says that فإمساك بمعروف أو تسريح بإحسان. Either you have or to keep the wife in kindness or in the way which we elaborated on the other verse, which is to have the mawaddat and rahmat. And if you cannot keep this, you cannot have this, then tasrihun bihsan, you have to release this relationship also in kindness. But unfortunately, as we say, the practice is different from the teachings. Unfortunately, uh, you know, the process of divorce in some families would be very difficult, and sometimes engendered actually the kind of hostility between the parties of marriage. Unfortunately, this is what Quran says. When you leave, also live in kindness. It means that this living should not lead that there should be kind of disparity among the parties of divorce, and they should keep the relationship. But unfortunately, we see that there would be some kind of hostility among of people who are divorcing. They don't want to talk to each other anymore. They actually hate each other. And this is also against the teachings of Quran, which says that فَإِمْسَاكُمْ بِمَعْرُوفٍ أَوْ تَسْرِيحٌ بِإِحْسَانٍ, that when you leave each other, don't leave in a way that you don't want to talk to each other anymore. Okay, so this is the what we have in Quran. But in general, this is very important thing that sometimes, people, they are not capable to know if their marriage needs actually to be treated or it is dead. This is very important that, sometimes the divorce is not justified. And even though, people can divorce, but at the same time, we have to know if the divorce is justified or not, because if the divorce is not justified, then it is like, you are, burying a sick person who can be treated, but we unfortunately bury that person alive. So this is the important issue, that we have to know that when it is the time for divorce, and this is very important in in exercising divorce, that the divorce should not be unjustified. Yeah.
So, Maulana, can you explain with reference to the Hazrat Zaid, the adopted son of Prophet, how the divorce went in that case? In Surah Azab, if you go in Surah Azab, there's a discussion of.
It's a hadith from Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. أبغض الأشياء عند الله الطلاق. The most disliked thing for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is divorce.
Mhm.
As I said, divorce is actually is disliked because you see that the marriage was meant to be the source of serenity for the couple and for the family, and you see that what would be the consequence of divorce, not only psychologically to the couple, but also to the children if they have the children. And that's why divorce is actually disliked, detested. At the same time, sometimes you see that the maintaining the relationship would be more detrimental to the couple. So that's why the divorce should be actually resorted to at the last time if there is necessity to exercise it. But at the same time, you see that even Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we don't have any report that he divorced, his wives, and we think that.
No, his adopted son, that he divorced his adopted son. So how that?
Can I interject?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Can I interject? I'm so sorry, but we have a few more questions.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry, I thought there was no question. That was I was, Okay,
no, there are quite a few questions.
Okay, that's fine.
So, yeah, appreciate your input.
Okay.
Sorry, Sheikh, for the
No,
interjection.
it's okay. I am open to any discussion. I actually.
Because unfortunately we are always racing against time, so we have to.
No, I'm open. If anyone wants to have more interaction in this, there is no problem for me, inshallah.
Okay, so the first question here on Menti is how should a man balance relationship between his wife and his mother? How do we prioritize one over the other? Is that the only question with us, Sajjad, or do you want to also display the second one so you can read both together if in case they're related?
Yeah.
Okay, that's the first question, and I'll go ahead and show the second question as well.
Okay. If in case they're related, if they're not, then.
Yeah. So you see that unfortunately sometimes the relationship between wife and mother would actually cause some problems in some Muslims families because of the interaction and closeness of actually families and relatives together. And I know that in some countries even the mother-in-law and actually the wife, and they are living together, and this can cause some problems. But in general, we can say that the relationship here is I don't know what the person questioned this question meant by the relationship. If, for example, we have many issues in this notion. For example, there is a what we call it the maintenance or nafaqah. There is a question that if my mother need help financially from me as a son, and also my wife, I have responsibility to, for example, pay maintenance to her according to jurisprudence, we call it nafaqah. So the question is that I have to help both of them, but if I cannot help both of them at the same time, then the priority will go to which one of them. According to jurisprudence, I have first responsibility to pay nafaqah to my family, to my wife. And, yes, even I have responsibility to pay actually nafaqah to my mother. But if there is contradiction and I cannot do both of them, then the priority would be for the wife. But if the relationship also means that, for example, visiting the mother, or actually doing what we would be through within that salatul rahim, or to keep the bond of kinship, then this is the duty of the son to actually do this wajib, the wajib of Salatul Rahim, to visit his mother, actually to help his mother. But as I said, when it comes to some issues like the financial support, then this is one example. As I said, if he can help both of them, then he has a responsibility to do so. But if he is not capable to do the both, then the priority would be for the wife, according to Islamic jurisprudence.
Okay, thank you. So in the second question here is that sometimes there is no serenity and love between the couples, but they stay together for the kids. Is that a right reason to stay together, or is that considered concealed shirk?
This is this is a very important question. I was talking about this issue, that what we have to do if for example the marriage in terms of love is dead between husband and wife, then should they sacrifice their actually life for their children, or they have also they go through the divorce and get remarried, and which one would be more detrimental to keep the actually this dead marriage in order to actually save the interest of the children, or no, they have to actually also to take care of themselves too here. This is the very important question, and we have always to use the sense of proportion here, that what we should do here, and this sense of proportion is very important, that what is more important here for us. Should I sacrifice myself? For example, this is what's happening. I see in some cultures, for example, this happening also for the ladies, that even when they lose, their husbands, they are not remarrying in order to actually be dedicated to the children's which she has from the husband. And so the question is that if this is justified, not marrying, and she's very young, for example, 25 years, 30 years, and staying alone for actually the rest of her life in order to show her loyalty for her previous husband, and also to dedicate herself to the actually to the children. And I think that the issue of marriage is so simple according to Islamic religion, and we see that our imams were frequently getting married, and so, but nowadays that the concept of marriage is attached to the notion of loyalty so extremely. So that's why the decision about these issues nowadays would be more difficult. And I was talking in the class of morality for my students, that sometimes there would be what we call it in Islam, to keep the promise. We have to keep the promise. When we make the promise, making promise is not obligation, but keeping the promise is obligation. Then the question is that sometimes there is a question or moral question, that keeping the promise to what extent is justified. For example, if there is a story that a young man, when his young wife was about to die because of cancer, he made the promise that he is not going to remarry after her departure. But then after the departure of the wife, it was the question that if this making this type of promise was justified from inception or not. And so this is the issue that sometimes this type of questions need a lot of the contemplation in order to actually reach the judgment what we have to do. This is not only the matter of actually that what for example what is the jurisprudence say here, because sometimes we have to to understand the subject in order to be able to apply the principles on them. Yeah.
Okay. So we have a few other questions. One is just kind of not necessarily related to the topic. It's a general fiqh question that according to Ayatollah Khoi, if we are, if we have very short time for salat and we don't know if we'll be able to complete that, and so either we can leave the second surah or we should just proceed with the full salat if we're not sure about the salat completing in time.
Okay, this question is actually, we can answer that, we have what we call it assigned time for each salat. And also we have the sharing time for two salats. For example, for Salat al-Zuhr and Asr, at the beginning of the Zawal is assigned time for Salat al-Zuhr. So it is about to say about if you can perform the Salat al-Zuhr in 5 minutes, so this 5 minutes would be dedicated only for Salat al-Zuhr. And also before the sunset, if we didn't do the Salat, the 5 minutes before the sunset is assigned for the Salatul Asr. So between these two times, we have the sharing time. So it would be for both Salatul Zuhr and Asr. So the question is that if we cannot do both Salat on time, so what we have to do, then the answer is that we have to do Salat al-Asr and the Salat al-Zuhr would be the Qaza. But some of the scholars, they say that if you can shorten the salat, for example, if the salat is, you cannot do it on time, even you should not do the wuzu. If the wuzu will take you 4 minutes, 3 minutes, and tayammum would be 1 minute, you should convert from the wuzu to tayammum. And also you actually in the salat, you shorten the azkar, you actually, you can just recite Surah Al-Hamd, don't recite Surah Al-Qul Huwa Allah. But according to some maraja, also, if you reach 1 rak'at, you reach the salat completely. So it means that if you reach, 1 rak'at of salat, within the time and before the becoming qaza, you are in fact doing the salat ada, even though the remaining raka'at, the second and third and fourth raka'at would be after the time, still your salat would be within the time, and it would be ada, because there's a hadith which says man adraka rak'atan فَقَدْ أَدْرَكَ كُلَّهَا. It means that if you reach the 1 rak'at within the time, you in fact reaching the whole rak'at on time.
So if let's say I have only 1 minute left for Fajr, okay, sunrise, right? And within 1 minute, I have 2 options. Either I do Alhamd and Qul Huwallah in the first rak'ah completely, and stand up for the second rak'ah. By that time, there will be sunrise. Or I do Alhamd, Ruku, Sajda, Alhamd, Ruku, Sajda. I'll do the whole thing. So should I leave the surah or should I just focus on 1 rak'ah?
Yeah, if you can do the 2 rak'at within the time by shortening the azkar, then you do, this option is actually you have to take it. But if this is not the case. And for example, for Salat al-Asr, for example, if even though you do one rak'at, definitely the other rak'at would be beyond the time. Then, according to this, hadith, if your one rak'at would be within the time, would be inshallah rahman.
Okay. Okay. Last question that I have is related to punishing children. So, what is the fiqhi limits on what kind of punishments can be given to children?
The punishment, you don't mean the physical punishment, because as you know, the physical punishment would not only not be effective and would be detrimental, but also would cause some other consequences or legal consequences here, which it means that the issue is that in jurisprudence, that when we living in a country, it is not only that we are following our Islamic rule, and also we have duty to follow the rule of the land. It is what you call it, according to Ayatollah Khouei, it is not acceptable to go against the system of law of the land, or what we call, according to his wording, لا يجوز مخالفة النظام. And so this is the issue that the punishment, if it would be within the disciplining the children, should be in a way that would not cause any legal or actually Islamic liability for the parents, and at the same time it should be effective. For example, using I'm not saying that the punishment, using the way to get the effectiveness of what the parents want. As Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, when we actually convey the message, we should not cause any hatred in the children or other people. Bashir, this is what is in the hadith. Yassir wala tu'assir. We have to use the easy way in order to reach the what we want. We should not make the hardship. Bashir wala tunaffir. We have to give more glad tidings, trying to encourage the children than using the hatred or nufur, the kind of resentment in the children. Usually the punishment in the form which we think about would cause kind of resentment, and this is a very important hadith that we have to use more encouraging way to, inshallah, convince the children to the path of servitude, not the punishment which would be causing the resentment, inshallah.
Thank you. I hope this is the last question on Menti. I think this looks pretty much related to the previous question. What is the husband's duty when his mother makes unreasonable demands that jeopardizes the serenity of his marriage? How can he maintain Silatul Rahim and also save his marriage?
The serenity of the mind. Unreasonable demand is very subjective issue. Yes, we can answer to the question, but when it comes to application, something which is unreasonable to some people would be reasonable to other people. So this is very subjective issue. But the husband, the son has duty to the parent, to the father and mother, according to Quran. You see that Quran says that وقضى ربك ألا تعبدوا إلا إياه وبالوالدين إحسانا, that we have to be good to our parents, and this goodness could be in a very different ways, but we should know that we have to be kind in general to our parents, but at the same time, if what mother asks us is not acceptable according to religion, asking something which is not right. Let me give you this question. If the mother will ask his son that I would not like you to have children from your wife. So this type of, actually, I can say this would be unreasonable, demand. And, or if, asking something which would be against the religion, for example, saying, for example, don't say go to the Salatul Jama'ah, for example, and the Salatul Jama'ah is so recommended. So this is actually could be within the unreasonable demand, but in general, as I said, the relationship of the husband and wife should not be actually compromised by the relationship between son and mother, and they have to actually keep this relationship and that relationship together, and it should not be in contradiction. And this is what I can say now.
Okay, thank you so much, Sheikh, for your time.
No problem, but I still actually, I would like, if that brother who was asking me a question and I was not able to continue with him, I would be available. If he wants to call me, I would be available to, inshallah, continue the discussion with him, inshallah, Rahman.
Okay, sure. So I think if, or we can leave the session open if someone wants to ask more questions, but formally speaking, the session is now over.
Okay.
We can, we'll stay on, the meeting will stay on for whoever wants to keep.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go ahead and ask your question. For everyone else, we'll inshallah continue next week, inshallah, hopefully with another topic. And we'll please look forward to the announcements. And thank you again for joining.
Mashallah, you've started very nice efforts, for the, sake of learning and, to understand. Okay, my question is that, like if the marriage is going in direction of divorce, getting second marriage, can it save it or it can worse it?
You mean second marriage?
Yeah.
While, after divorce or
no, before the divorce is going on, the sanity is not maintained, right?
Okay.
And then then you get second married, So do you think it can save it, or is any is Islamic saying like this? Get second marriage, and then it can save the first one, and then can maintain the serenity.
I'm not sure that I understood the question rightly, but as you know, there is also another problem for actually the Muslims who are living in the countries when the polygamy or would be not acceptable according to the law. So what we have to do, for example, the Islam is saying it is okay to have more than wife, but the law of the land says that is prohibited. So the question would be actually what would be the the duty of the Muslims in this situation. And there is I'm not going through this to answer this now, but inshallah Rahman, if there is interest, we can inshallah discuss this issue. But anyway, if the first marriage is not engendering the serenity between husband and wife, then going through this second marriage, the question would be if the second marriage would actually be detrimental to the rights of the first wife or not. First, this is the question first we have to answer, that can the husband actually provide the rights of both or not, if the second marriage would cause that the right of the first one would be violated, then it means that this marriage, the second marriage, is not acceptable. And this is the issue, that you have to talk about all of this circumstances. We cannot just answer the question as it is placed, brother. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds like we're done.
I'm done. Thank you.
Okay, alhamdulillah. Thank you so much, everyone, once again, for joining and coming in, inshallah.
Thank you very much, inshallah rahman, and inshallah have a good night, brothers.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you once again. We'll see you in
Shukriya, Maulana.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi
wa barakatuh.